The crystal champagne glasses clinked as my stepmother, Diana, raised her third toast of the evening. To my darling husband's retirement, she proclaimed, her designer dress sparkling under the ballroom lights. And to selling this tired old company for something more exciting. I watched my father's face fall slightly, though he tried to hide it behind a smile. Chen Manufacturing had been his life's work, built from nothing over 30 years. Now, at his own retirement party, he was watching his trophy wife of 5 years plan its dismantling. But Diana wasn't done. Her eyes found me across the crowded room, glittering with malice. Of course, some people thought they'd inherit this company, she said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. Poor little Alexandra, thinking Daddy would hand over a multi-million-dollar business to someone who can't even keep a relationship longer than 6 months. The room grew uncomfortably quiet. Several board members shifted awkwardly, while others pretended to be fascinated by their drinks. My father just stared at his shoes, saying nothing, as usual. It's for the best, really, Diana continued, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. Running a company requires maturity, experience, a proper family image. She patted her perfectly flat stomach meaningfully, a reminder of her recent announcement that she was trying to give my father a real heir. I felt my cheeks burn, but kept my face neutral. Let her have her moment. She had no idea what was coming. Would you like to say something, Alexandra? Diana asked sweetly. Perhaps congratulate your father on his retirement and his wise decision about the company's future. I stood slowly, smoothing my black blazer. At 28, I was young for a CFO, but I earned every step up the corporate ladder. Not that Diana knew that. She thought I was just another middle manager kept around out of my father's guilt after my mother's death. Actually, I said, my voice clear and steady, I do have something to say. Diana's smirk widened as I walked to the center of the room. She probably expected tears, pleading, maybe even a scene. Instead, I pulled out a thick envelope from my briefcase. 6 months ago, I began addressing the whole room. Chen Manufacturing underwent a quiet restructuring. The board approved it unanimously. I glanced at several board members who nodded slightly. My father transferred majority ownership to a new holding company. Diana's smirk faltered slightly. My father finally looked up, confusion crossing his face. The holding company is called NLW Enterprises, I continued, enjoying the way Diana's perfectly made-up face scrunched in confusion. NLW stands for Mary Louise Wong, my mother's name. Now Diana's champagne glass was shaking slightly. What are you talking about? She demanded. I opened the envelope and began laying out documents on the nearest table. These papers show that I own 67% of Chen Manufacturing through NLW Enterprises. My father retains 30%, and the remaining 3% is divided among key employees. The room erupted in chaos. Diana lunged for the papers, her expensive manicure scratching at the legal documents as if she could make them disappear. This is impossible, she shrieked. James, tell her this is impossible. But my father was smiling, really smiling, for the first time in years. It's all legal, Diana, he said quietly. Alexandra earned this. She's been practically running the company for the past 2 years while I've been distracted. He looked at me apologetically. But, Diana sputtered, her face turning an alarming shade of red beneath her makeup. We had plans. The house in the Hamptons, the yacht club membership. About that, I said, pulling out another document. As majority owner, I've been reviewing all company expenses, including the rather generous consulting fees being paid to your brother's fake marketing firm, and the business trips that somehow always ended up at luxury spas. Diana went pale. You wouldn't dare. I already have. The board has approved a full audit. The police are very interested in some of the more creative accounting you and your brother arranged. James. Diana whirled on my father. Are you going to let her do this to me, your wife? My father stood straighter than I'd seen him stand since my mother died. My late wife, Mary, helped me build this company, he said firmly. She made me promise it would go to our daughter when the time was right. Alexandra has proven herself more than capable. And you, he shook his head sadly, you proved yourself too, just not in the way you intended. Diana's carefully constructed world was crumbling. Her designer purse fell open as she grabbed for her phone, spilling its contents across the floor. Among them was a small USB drive that I recognized. one that had gone missing from my father's office months ago, containing proprietary company designs. Looking for a buyer for our trade secrets? I asked quietly, picking up the drive. That would explain all those lunch meetings with our competitors. Diana's face contorted with rage. She raised her hand as if to slap me, but my father caught her wrist. Security will escort you out, I said calmly. Your personal belongings will be shipped to you, after they're checked for any other company property, of course. And Diana? I smiled sweetly, channeling her own fake sympathy. Don't worry about the prenup. It has a lovely clause about corporate espionage. As security led a screaming Diana away, the room buzzed with excitement. Board members came to congratulate me. Employees who'd suffered under Diana's reign looked relieved, and my father pulled me into a tight hug. I'm so sorry, Alex, he whispered. I've been such a fool. Your mother would be so proud of you. I hugged him back, breathing in the familiar scent of his aftershave. I know, Dad. I know. But our moment of reconciliation was interrupted by an urgent call. Diana's brother had been caught trying to delete files from the company servers, and something told me this was just the beginning of the storm. I touched my mother's old wedding ring, which I wore on a chain around my neck. Ready for this, Dad? He squeezed my shoulder. Lead the way, CEO. As we walked to the elevator, I could still hear Diana's shrieks from the lobby, but I wasn't worried. I'd learned from the best, my mother's business acumen, my father's innovation, and yes, even Diana's cutthroat ambition. They'd all taught me valuable lessons. Now it was time to show them exactly what those lessons had created. The morning after the retirement party, I arrived at Chen Manufacturing earlier than usual. The sun hadn't even risen, but I found my father already in his office, sorting through years of memories. Couldn't sleep either? I asked, helping him pack a framed photo of him and Mom at the company's grand opening. Been thinking about your mother, he said softly. She always said you had her business instincts. Watch out for that girl, she'd tell me. She'll outshine us both someday. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. It was Marcus, our head of its security. Ms. Chen, we have a situation. Multiple attempts to access our servers from unauthorized locations, and you need to see this. Within minutes, I was staring at my computer screen in disbelief. Someone had leaked confidential company emails to our biggest competitors. But these weren't just any emails. They were carefully selected to make it look like Chen Manufacturing had been engaging in corporate espionage. Diana, I muttered. She's trying to trigger an industry investigation. That's not all, Marcus said grimly. She's also leaked evidence suggesting your takeover was illegal. The press is already picking up the story. Right on cue, my phone exploded with notifications. Tech Harris in hostile takeover scandal, read one headline. Family drama threatens industry giant, declared another. Dad lips stricken. Alex, I'm so sorry. If I hadn't brought Diana into our lives. No, Dad, I cut him off. This isn't your fault. But I know whose fault it is. I pressed the intercom. Janet, call an emergency board meeting. And get me Victoria Chen on the line. Your cousin the federal prosecutor? Dad asked, surprised. I smiled grimly. Diana wanted to play dirty. Time to show her what that really means. The next few hours were chaos. Diana had gone on a morning news show, playing the part of the concerned wife perfectly. I just want to protect my husband's legacy, she said tearfully. Alexander's hostile takeover has devastated him. And now with these allegations of corporate espionage. But Diana had made one crucial mistake. In her rush to destroy me, she'd used the stolen USB drive to access company files, leaving a clear digital trail. Got her, Marcus announced triumphantly. Every unauthorized access, every leaked document, it all traces back to her brother's IP address. And he grinned. We found something else. Emails between Diana and our biggest competitor, dating back months before she married your father. The pieces clicked into place. She targeted Dad from the beginning, I realized. The whole marriage was a corporate raid. The oldest trick in the book, Dad said quietly, and I fell for it completely. Just then, my cousin Victoria called back. After hearing the situation, she was silent for a moment. You know, she said finally, we've been investigating Diana's brother's firm for months. Tax fraud, money laundering, but we could never prove where the money was coming from. This could be exactly what we need. Do it, I said firmly. The next day, as Diana was preparing for another TV interview to slander me, federal agents raided her brother's office. By evening, both siblings were in custody, and the truth was splashed across every business news channel. Corporate Rahid Daridi, CEO's wife arrested in manufacturing espionage scandal. Family Feud reveals years-long corporate conspiracy. Young CEO saves family company from hidden takeover. But the real satisfaction came when we found Diana's prenup violation clause was just the tip of the iceberg. The federal investigation revealed offshore accounts, shell companies, and a pattern of targeting wealthy business owners for marriage scams. 7 other victims, Victoria told me. All wealthy men, all with valuable companies. You and your father were supposed to be number 8. In the end, Diana and her brother faced federal charges for corporate espionage, fraud, and money laundering. The evidence was overwhelming. But before they were led away, I visited Diana in custody. How? She demanded, her designer outfit replaced by an orange jumpsuit. How did you know what I was planning? I pulled out an old photo, my mother at my age, standing proudly in front of Chen Manufacturing, because my mother dealt with people like you all the time. She taught me to spot the vultures circling our company. That's why she made Dad promise to train me properly to protect her legacy. I leaned closer. You never had a chance, Diana. You were playing checkers. I was playing chess. 3 months later, Chen Manufacturing was stronger than ever. Our stock price had soared after the scandal, as clients appreciated how we'd handled the crisis. Dad was truly retired now, traveling the world and sending me postcards from places Mom had always wanted to visit. As for me, I hung Mom's photo in my office, the CEO's office, right next to the latest company achievement, innovation in leadership. Alexandra Chen named youngest CEO of the year. But my favorite moment came during a charity gala when I overheard 2 society women gossiping. Did you hear about James Chen's daughter? The one who exposed that gold diggers conspiracy. They say she's twice as brilliant as her mother was, and 3 times as ruthless when crossed. I smiled, touching Mom's ring around my neck. They had no idea. In business, as in life, the best revenge isn't serving it cold. It's building something so strong that no one dares to try destroying it again. Dad called that evening from Greece. Your mother would be so proud, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Not just of the company, but of who you've become. Looking out over the city from my office window, I thought about everything, the lessons, the loss, the victories. I learned from the best, I replied, both of you. After all, that's what real family legacy is about. Not the money or the company, but the strength to protect what matters, the wisdom to spot true from false, and the courage to fight for what's yours. Diana had wanted to play games with our company. Instead, she'd helped make me exactly the CEO Chen Manufacturing needed, one who could spot a threat from a mile away and handle it with the perfect mix of grace and steel, just like Mom would have done.
The invitation came through our family group chat. My mother's perfectly worded message dripping with concerned disappointment. Emergency family meeting. Thursday, 7 p.m. Alexandra needs our help with her situation. My situation? That's what they'd been calling my decision to quit my prestigious consulting job and start my own company. 2 years of subtle jabs, worried phone calls, and not-so-subtle hints about real jobs with actual benefits. I sat in my car outside my parents' colonial-style house, the same one I'd grown up in, where success was measured in Ivy League degrees and corporate titles. My sister Emma's Range Rover sat in the circular driveway, next to Dad's Mercedes and Mom's BMW. My Toyota Corolla looked decidedly out of place, exactly how they saw me these days. My phone buzzed. Another message from Marcus, my CFO. Forbes article goes live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You ready for this? I texted back. Perfect timing. Family intervention starts at 7. His response was immediate. Savage. Want me to send a car to rescue you? No need. Some things are worth waiting for. I checked my reflection in the rearview mirror. No designer clothes tonight. Just a simple black blazer over a white shirt, minimal makeup, hair pulled back neatly. Let them think I couldn't afford better. It made the coming revelation sweeter. The door opened before I could knock. Mom stood there in her channel suit, perfect makeup not quite hiding her frown lines. "Alexandra, darling, you're late." "By 2 minutes, Mom." "Details matter in business, dear." She ushered me inside. "Something you might want to consider." The living room was set up like a corporate intervention. Dad in his power position by the fireplace, Emma and her husband James on the leather sofa, Mom's sister, Aunt Patricia, in the wingback chair. They'd even called in reinforcements. "Ally." Emma air-kissed my cheek. "Love the blazer. H&M. Thrift store, actually." I watched her try to hide her horror. "Sustainable fashion. Very on trend." Dad cleared his throat. "Let's get started. We're here because we're worried about you, Alexandra." "About my situation?" I took the least comfortable chair, deliberately facing them all. "About your choices," Mom corrected. 2 years ago, you had everything. Junior partner track at McKinsey. That lovely penthouse apartment. William. Ah, yes, William. The investment banker they'd practically planned my wedding to, before I called it off to start my company. And now, Dad gestured vaguely, living in that tiny apartment, driving that old car, working on some, what do you call it? Tech startup, James supplied helpfully. Though startup implies growth potential. He smiled, all teeth, and MBA confidence. I took a look at your sector. The market's saturated. No room for new players without serious capital backing. I bit back a smile. James, who tried to get his own startup funded 3 times before falling back on his trust fund. James, who had no idea he'd been pitching to one of my subsidiary investment firms last month. James, who'd been rejected. Again. "We're just trying to help," Emma added. "There's no shame in admitting something isn't working. McKinsey would take you back in a heartbeat." Actually, Aunt Patricia chimed in. Barbara's daughter just got promoted to partner there. Youngest female partner in their history. She paused meaningfully. "That could have been you." I checked my watch. 7:43 p.m. The Forbes article would drop in 17 minutes. "You haven't even told us what your company actually does," Mom complained. "All this secrecy, these long hours, and what do you have to show for it?" Dad stood, assuming his CEO stance, the same one he'd used for countless boardroom presentations. "We're here to discuss your failing company and plan your next steps. No more avoiding the reality." Emma's phone chimed. She glanced at it, then did a double take. Her perfectly maintained composure cracked. "Oh my God," she whispered, then louder. "Why is your face on Forbes 30 under 30 list?" The room froze. Mom's wine glass stopped halfway to her lips. James grabbed Emma's phone. "That's impossible," he scrolled frantically. "This can't be." Alexandra Bennett, 28, founder and CEO of Neurotech Solutions. Valued at, this has to be a mistake. $2 billion, I supplied calmly. That's the current valuation after our last funding round. Though that number's a bit outdated now. Dad sank back into his chair. $2 billion? Would you like to know what my company does now? I pulled out my tablet, opening our investor presentation. Neurotech Solutions develops AI-driven adaptive learning systems. We're revolutionizing how machines process and respond to complex data. That tiny apartment I live in, it's actually the smallest unit in a building I own. That old Toyota. I bought it because it's practical and reliable, like all good investments should be. Mom's wine glass trembled. But you never said anything. You never asked. You were too busy lamenting my failure to notice my success. I stood up, straightening my thrift store blazer. Our technology is being implemented by major tech companies worldwide. That's why I've been working such long hours. That's why I've been secretive. And that's why, in about 2 minutes, Forbes is running a feature article about how a 28-year-old woman built a multi-billion-dollar tech empire while her family thought she was failing. Emma's phone kept buzzing, notifications pouring in as the article went live. James looked like he'd swallowed something sour. Aunt Patricia was already dialing, probably calling Barbara about her suddenly less impressive daughter. 2 billion, Dad repeated, shell-shocked. Actually, I checked my phone as Marcus's message came through. Make that 3 billion. We just closed another acquisition. I'd tell you more, but I have a video interview with CNBC in an hour. They're doing a special on disruptive tech leaders. The silence was deafening. Then Mom spoke, her voice small. But why didn't you tell us? I looked around the room at their shocked faces, their shattered assumptions, their crumbling certainty about who I was and what I could achieve. Because sometimes, I said, gathering my things, the best way to succeed is to let people underestimate you. It's amazing how much you can accomplish when no one's watching. My phone buzzed again. That's my car. Unlike my Toyota, this one's actually expensive. Comes with the whole Forbes photo shoot thing. I headed for the door, then turned back. Oh, and Emma? That startup James pitched last month. The one rejected by Bennett Ventures. That's my investment firm. Better luck next time. I left them there, surrounded by their luxury brands and conventional success, while outside, a sleek black car waited to take me to my next interview. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's letting them realize that they never really knew you at all. And I was just getting started. The CNBC interview was just the beginning. By midnight, my phone had exploded with messages. Old classmates suddenly remembering our close friendship. Distant relatives claiming they always believed in me. And most tellingly, a series of increasingly desperate texts from my family. Mom, Alexandra, please call us. We need to talk. Emma? OMG, Ally. Why didn't you tell me? I'm your sister. James, about that pitch. Perhaps we could discuss over lunch. Dad, I don't understand. You had all this success and kept it secret. From your own family? I ignored them all, focusing instead on the message from Marcus. Stocks up 12% after the Forbes piece. Tokyo markets opening strong. Ready for tomorrow's board meeting. The next morning, I walked into Neuratech's headquarters, a sleek glass tower in the heart of downtown, my name discreetly etched on the cornerstone. The security guard nodded respectfully. Good morning, Ms. Bennett. My executive assistant, Maya, met me at the elevator. Your family's been calling the office since 6 a.m. Your mother tried to charm her way past reception, but security followed protocol. I smiled. Of course they did. Any other surprises? Your sister Emma posted on LinkedIn about her brilliant tech entrepreneur sister and tagged you. PR wants to know how to handle it. No response necessary. Let her chase the connection. My office occupied the top floor, but I designed it to be invisible from the street. Privacy glass, minimal signage. The space inside was modern but understated. Clean lines, practical furniture, walls covered in whiteboards filled with code and complex algorithms. The morning news played silently on multiple screens. Tech wonderkind Alexandra Bennett disrupts AI market. Neurotech Solutions, the stealth giant that's revolutionizing machine learning. Young CEO built billion-dollar empire in secret. A knock at my door interrupted my news scanning. "Miss Bennett, your 9 a.m. is here." I turned, expecting my scheduled venture capital meeting. Instead, there stood William, my ex-fiancé, the investment banker my parents had never forgiven me for leaving. "Alexandra," he said, attempting his old charming smile. "You look successful." "I look exactly the same as when you called my startup dreams cute and admirable." I stayed seated. "How did you get on my calendar?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Your mother might have mentioned you had offices here." I thought, given our history, I cut in. "You should remember that I don't appreciate people who underestimate me." "I never." "You said, and I quote, 'Tech is a man's world, darling. Stick to consulting where they appreciate diversity hires.'" I pressed the intercom. "Maya, please escort Mr. Harrison out and update security protocols." As he was led away, my actual 9 a.m. arrived. Sarah Chin, the notorious venture capitalist known for backing unicorn startups. "Entertaining morning?" she asked, nodding toward William's retreating figure. "Just clearing out old misconceptions." I pulled up our presentation. "Shall we discuss the future instead of the past?" The meeting with Sarah went brilliantly, but it was just a warm-up for what came next. At noon, I had a board meeting, my first since the Forbes article dropped. The boardroom was full when I entered. Our investors, mostly older men who'd initially doubted me, now sat up straighter when I walked in. Funny how a few $1 billion changes people's posture. "Before we begin," I said, taking my seat at the head of the table, "let's address the elephant in the room." Yes, the Forbes article was strategic. Yes, the timing was deliberate. And no, this doesn't change anything about how we operate. Marcus, my CFO, pulled up our quarterly numbers. The growth charts looked like mountain ranges. Steep, impressive, undeniable. "As you can see," I continued, "our decision to operate in stealth mode while building our technology base has paid off. We're not just ahead of the market. We are the market." One of our early investors, a man who'd once suggested I bring in a more experienced CEO, cleared his throat. "The numbers are impressive, but the publicity changes things. Your family." "My family is irrelevant to this company's operations." I pulled up another slide. "What is relevant is our next move. Project Nexus." The room fell silent as I outlined our new AI architecture, technology that would make our current success look like a warm-up. Halfway through my presentation, Maya slipped me a note. "Your sister's in the lobby. Says she's not leaving until you talk to her." I kept presenting, but sent a quick message to security. 5 minutes later, Emma was escorted to our smallest conference room, the one with the uncomfortable chairs. After the board meeting, I took my time reviewing contracts before finally heading down to meet her. She'd been waiting 2 hours, her perfect blowout slightly wilted, her Prada bag clutched like a shield. "Really, Ally?" she burst out as I entered. "You couldn't have security tell them who I am. Your own sister. They know exactly who you are." I sat down. "That's why they followed protocol." She deflated slightly. "Mom's crying, you know. Dad hasn't gone to work. They feel betrayed." "Betrayed?" I raised an eyebrow. "By what?" my success, my independence, or the fact that they can't take credit for it. It's not like that. We're family. We should have been part of this. Like you made me part of your life? All those family dinners where you and James talked about your achievements. Those charity galas where Mom introduced you as my successful daughter and me as Alexandra. She's finding herself. Emma flinched. That's not fair. We didn't know. Because you never asked. You were too busy feeling superior to actually see what I was building. And now, she gestured around. Now that we know, can't we start over? James would love to collaborate. Ah, yes, James. I pulled out my tablet, opening his pitch history. 3 failed startups, 2 SEC warnings for questionable trading practices, and a trust fund that's dwindling faster than his excuses. That James. Her face reddened. How did you? I know everything about everyone who tries to do business with my company, including the fact that he's been bad-mouthing me to potential investors for 2 years. Amateur hour, I believe he called it. Emma's designer bag slipped from her fingers. He wouldn't. The recordings are quite clear. I stood up. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a company to run. Wait, she grabbed my arm. What do you want? An apology? Fine, I'm sorry. We're all sorry. Just don't shut us out. I looked at her perfectly manicured hand on my blazer sleeve, the same blazer she'd mocked last night. I don't want anything from you, Emma. That's the point. I built all of this without you, without our parents, without anyone's approval or support. And that's exactly how I'll continue. But what about family? Family? I smiled sadly. Family would have believed in me even without the billions. Family would have asked about my dreams instead of dismissing them. Family would have seen me for who I am, not who they wanted me to be. Her hand fell away. And now, I checked my phone as another alert came in. Now I have a meeting with the governor about making our city the next major tech hub. Feel free to tell Mom and Dad. I'm sure they'll suddenly be very interested in my situation. As I walked out, leaving Emma in that small conference room, Maya fell into step beside me. Your parents are holding another family meeting tonight, she said, checking her tablet. Your aunt's already called 3 reporters trying to claim she mentored you. I smiled. Let them meet. Let them talk. Success is the best revenge, but silence is the best response. The elevator doors opened to reveal Sarah Chen waiting with a group of international investors. Ready to change the world? She asked. I straightened my discount blazer, now knowing it would be featured in tomorrow's business pages as tech's new power look. Always, I replied. After all, the best innovations come from people everyone else overlooked. Behind me, I could hear Emma's expensive heels clicking toward the exit, the sound echoing like all their years of judgment and dismissal. But I wasn't that overlooked little sister anymore. I was the future. And the future, like success, belongs to those who built it for themselves. 1 month after the Forbes article changed everything, I sat in my office reviewing the latest market reports. Neuratech's stock had doubled. Our AI technology was being called revolutionary by industry leaders, and my carefully maintained privacy had been replaced by constant public attention. Maya appeared in my doorway. Your father's downstairs. I didn't look up from my screen. The same answer as yesterday. He's different today. No Mercedes, no power suit. He's wearing jeans. That made me pause. Richard Bennett, CEO of Bennett Global Consulting, wearing jeans? In public? He's been waiting in the lobby for 2 hours, Maya added, just sitting there, watching people work. I pulled up the lobby security feed. There he was, my father, looking smaller somehow in casual clothes, holding a worn leather briefcase I'd never seen before. Send him up. While waiting, I studied the collection of newspaper headlines framed on my wall. Neurotech announces breakthrough in quantum AI. Tech's newest billion-dollar CEO refuses family's attempts to take credit. Alexander Bennett. Success doesn't need permission. The last one was from an interview where I had finally addressed the family situation publicly. The reporter had asked why I kept my success secret from my family. My response went viral. Success doesn't need permission, validation, or family approval. It just needs vision and persistence. Dad entered quietly, so unlike his usual commanding presence. He took in my office slowly. The whiteboards covered in complex algorithms, the global market tickers, the view of the city he thought he knew. Your mother keeps setting a place for you at dinner, he said finally. Every Thursday night, just in case. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. He sat, placing the old briefcase in his lap. I've been thinking, he continued, about your 5th grade science fair. Of all the things he could have said, this wasn't what I expected. You built a primitive neural network. Used it to predict weather patterns. Everyone else had volcanoes made of baking soda or plants growing toward light. You had algorithms. He smiled faintly. You won first place, but I missed it. Had a board meeting. I remember. You know what I don't remember? Ever asking you to explain how it worked, or why you were interested in AI, or what you dreamed of creating. He opened the briefcase and pulled out a stack of papers. So I did some research. He spread them on my desk. Patents, academic papers, early business proposals. My work, dating back years. You filed your first patent at 19, he said. Created your first AI protocol at 22. Launched 3 successful startups under different names before Neurotech. All while we thought you were just. He trailed off. Finding myself, I supplied. Being difficult. He looked up, meeting my eyes. We were wrong. I was wrong. The silence stretched between us, heavy with years of missed connections. Did you know, he said finally, that your mother has started taking coding classes? Basic stuff, but she says she wants to understand what you built. Emma's been reading about AI ethics. Even James. James has been trying to pitch to my competitors. I interrupted, using his connection to me as leverage. Dad's face fell. I didn't know that. There's a lot you didn't know, didn't ask, didn't want to see. He nodded slowly. Your mother wants to host a family dinner to celebrate your success. Like the last family dinner? Were you all gathered to intervene in my situation? No. He pulled out one more paper from his briefcase, like this. It was an old photograph. Me at that 5th grade science fair, standing proudly next to my neural network display. Small, serious, and absolutely certain about my path. When did we stop seeing you? He asked quietly. When did we replace pride with judgment? I studied the photo, remembering that day. The excitement of creation, the joy of making something new. The disappointment when my parents missed the ceremony. You know, I said, that project predicted weather patterns with 76% accuracy. Pretty impressive for a 5th grader. Want to know what Neurotech's current accuracy rate is? He looked up, interested despite himself. What is it? 99.997%. I turned my monitor around, showing him our latest test results. We're not just predicting weather anymore. We're modeling climate changes, market trends, population movements. We're helping governments prepare for natural disasters before they happen, helping businesses adapt to changes before they hit, saving lives, Dad. For the first time, I saw real understanding dawn in his eyes. Not just of the money or success, but of what I'd actually built. Show me, he said softly. Help me understand. I hesitated. Then I stood up and walked to the largest whiteboard. It starts with a basic neural pathway. I began drawing. But then we added quantum processing. For the next hour, I explained my life's work to my father. He asked questions, good ones, showing he'd done real research. When I finished, he was silent for a long moment. I have another confession, he said finally. Bennett Global is struggling. The old consulting model isn't working anymore. Companies want AI integration, predictive analytics. I know, I said. Your stock dropped 40% last quarter. He laughed suddenly. Of course you know. You probably knew before I did. He straightened in his chair. I'm not here to ask for help, or money, or connections. I'm here to say I'm proud of you. Not because you're successful, but because you had the courage to build something revolutionary while we were all too blind to see it. I walked to the window, looking out at the city where I'd built my empire in secret. The next family dinner, I said slowly. What if we held it here? Here? In my building. I'll give them a tour first. Show them what I actually do. No more assumptions, no more judgments. Just reality. They'd like that, he said. Then carefully. I'd like that. One condition. I turned back to face him. Everyone comes on their own merits. No plus ones. James isn't welcome. He nodded. Understood. Emma's? Figuring that out anyway. His latest investment scheme cost them heavily. I know. I bought their debt last week. Through a subsidiary. His eyebrows rose. You did? Why? Because Emma's still my sister. She needs to clean up her own mess. But I won't let her drown. I sat back down. Family is complicated. Success doesn't fix that. It just gives you the power to set better boundaries. Dad stood, gathering his briefcase. Thursday at 7? Thursday at 7. Tell Mom to wear comfortable shoes. It's a big building. At the door, he paused. That article quote, about success not needing permission. I'm framing it for my office, to remind me what real leadership looks like. After he left, Maya brought in my afternoon schedule and a fresh coffee. Your mother's already called 3 times about Thursday, she said. And Emma sent flowers. Donate the flowers, I replied. And Maya. Clear my Thursday evening schedule. It's time to show my family what I really built. That night, working late as usual, I added one more framed article to my wall. Tech CEO redefines family business. Success is the best teacher. Below it, I hung that old science fair photo. The little girl with big dreams who became the woman who changed the tech world. Sometimes the hardest part of success isn't building an empire. It's teaching others to see you for who you've become, not who they assumed you'd be. And as I looked out over my city, watching the lights twinkle in buildings where my technology was already at work, I smiled. Thursday would be interesting. But this time, I wouldn't be the one proving anything. I'd already done that. Now it was their turn to learn.